Okay, lovelies. So, for those of you that are new, as I've already said, welcome. Gorgeous to have you here. Really nice to see you this evening. For those of you, lots of familiar faces tonight. Really lovely to see you. I hope you're doing well. Oh, some of the membership ladies, I miss you guys. Hope you're doing, yeah, really good. And yeah, managing to find some time for you. I know how challenging that can be. So this month, I thought we would tie the Reiki Circle with the new moon as I. It seems like a really beautiful new moon, and I'll explain why I'm feeling that. And you've probably read lots about it. I know many of you are into working with the cycles of the moon and your moonology and you know, many of you know what a grounding practice that can be, and it certainly feels like it works for me, that working with the moon cycle, it aligns to me it aligns perfectly with that female cycle that we experience for those of us that are, you know, still having a regular cycle. And for those of you that are not, it's also a beautiful invitation to find that kind of stability again, that rhythm. I'm not saying that, you know, while we're menstruating, we're always feeling very stable, but there's something really stabilizing, I find, about the rhythm of the cycle. And knowing that, you know what, that week I'm probably just going to write myself off. And that week I'm going to be on fire. So, you know, and the problem is when we get to perimenopause and menopause, right? That certainty can go out the window a bit, and we don't know how we're going to feel. But just having this grounded rhythm, this ritual of working with the moon can be really helpful, or so I've observed. But tonight, although new moon was officially, you know, the peak has gone, but we're still very much in that new moon phase. With this, you know, we're moving through, the new moon's moving through Gemini at the moment. And we've also got Uranus moving through Gemini at the moment. So the reason this felt like such a special moon was, for those of you that don't know, Uranus is often associated with like transformation and big personal breakthroughs and those kind of shifting of old patterns. And the great thing about the new moon is that opportunity to really take a moment to go, what do I want? What do I want to leave behind? What feels like it's really working for me? What feels like it's really not? And I want to shift this thing, but this thing is feeling really sticky or really hard to break because it's given me so much comfort in many ways. And the other great thing about Gemini is it's that opportunity to sharpen our clarity with self, as well as, you know, communication and those more obvious things that we associate with that Gemini energy, like relationships. And but when I say relationships, that I want to pause there, because I think sometimes the relationship that often gets least thought about is the relationship we have with ourselves. So there's quite a few words there that I've put out into our little sacred space, into our little ether. And I would love to just take a moment to allow some of that to land within you, and for you to have your own little contemplation. Maybe 5, 10 minutes of just sat with the breath and that inner inquiry of what's working, what's feeling like it's not. And not from the perspective of what society tells you you should want, or what society or culture tells you is something to desire towards or desire away from, but from that perspective of what's really feeling good to me right now, what's really landing, what's feeling like medicine, what's really serving me. And what are those things that even on the surface, they may be shiny, they may be golden, but underneath it's landing like poison. So let's just take a moment and maybe just starting to notice that gentle rise and fall of the breath. And as we're watching the breath, we're attempting to do that from a space of curiosity. We're not trying to fix or analyze the breath in any way. Not trying to tell it that it should be something else. It's allowed to be shaky. It's allowed to be irregular. It's allowed to be shallow. And allowing this acceptance of the breath exactly as it is, without trying to force or change. Seeing if we can take that same perspective into the physical body. So maybe starting to notice what's here in the physical body in this moment. Maybe you notice a heaviness or a lightness, a comfort or a discomfort. Maybe you notice sensation or a numbness. And seeing if you can allow yourself to be open to all of these without judgment. The parts of the body that feel pleasurable, the parts of the body that don't. Allowing space for both the pain and the comfort. Just getting curious about what's here right now. And maybe you notice that as you begin to observe sensation, whether that be physical, emotional, energetic, the sensation itself is rarely static. Allowing yourself to observe that inner dance between comfort and discomfort, sadness and happiness, overwhelming sensation, and barely anything at all. None of these are wrong or something to fix, but just this beautiful reminder that you're alive here and now. And bringing that contemplation to mind under this new moon. What inside of me or externally feels like medicine? And what internally and externally feels like poison for me right now? Allow your intuition to answer. And maybe those answers come in words or pictures or feelings or knowings. A sense of something. No need to have it crystal clear, but just trust what comes through. What internally and externally feels like poison. What internally and externally feels like just the medicine you need right now. And I invite you now, with your eyes still closed, to hold out your palms in front of you. palms facing towards the ceiling, fingers together, as if holding out two offering plates. And I invite you to notice which hand for you feels like it was made for receiving. And maybe you get a tingle or an intuitive hit. Just a feeling it should be that one. And what hand feels more designed for giving? Which hand is meant for giving? Which hand is meant for receiving? And when you feel like you've got a little note in your mind or your heart of which hand feels right for which, I invite you to remember which one was the receiving hand. And maybe your palm twitches or tingles. And I invite you to turn the other hand over. And I invite you to notice what came through for you when you were thinking about what felt like poison right now. What's depleting you? What's taking you away from that which is important? What is stripping you of your vital energy? And when you think about that thing, where do you feel it in the body? I invite you to notice, and we're going to place that receiving hand there. And sitting with your eyes closed, allowing that palm to draw out any of that poison that needs to be removed. And I'll share it with you. The image that just came through for me was of someone like sucking out snake venom. So this palm is doing that exactly for you. It's pulling out those mental, emotional, energetic toxins that haven't quite been metabolized, that are building up, that are taking from you. And I invite you to slowly move that palm away from your body and feel that energy starting to leave that area. Allow that energy to follow your palm. And finding a comfortable distance And allow any of that energy that feels like it needs to leave to flow into your palm, and that's where it stays, forming this big ball. And keeping your eyes closed and feeling into the sensation of when it feels like all of that energy has been released. And I feel like I've got at least another minute here. As that energy is moving out of my body, through into that energetic connection created with the palm, forming this big ball of energy. And you may find this energy begins to feel heavy. It may feel something else to you. You may see it as a color or a texture. Maybe it's sludgy, a brown or a black or a gray. And as that energy moves out of the body, maybe you begin to feel a little lightness filling up that space. Maybe even a particular emotion begins to emerge. A hope, an appreciation, an acknowledgement. And as that palm feels full, as that energy feels like the flow has stopped, I invite you to consider what you wish to do with this ball of energy. Now, you may wish to lob it into the ether, to get rid of it, to be dissolved into the mass universe. Maybe you wish to turn your palm upside down and allow it to soak into the earth, to be turned into nutrients. Maybe you have a different idea altogether, preferably not throwing it at anyone in particular, but throwing this energy somewhere safe, up into the ether or down into the ground. Allow your intuition to guide you here. And maybe taking a nice exhale as you release that ball of energy. Feel that ascending upon you, that lightness, that release, that relief. Oh. And with that giving hand now, I invite you to notice what felt like medicine. What feels like medicine in your life, whether internally or externally. What would you love to ramp up just a little bit? Give it a boost. What is truly serving you right now? And I invite you to notice where you feel that in the body and place that giving hand there now. And for those of you that are Reiki trained, you may wish to call on Reiki, you may wish to invoke a particular symbol. If you know there's something that really aligns with this, maybe Choku Rei or Seiki feels exactly what's needed. And for those of you that are not Reiki trained, you are so welcome here. And I invite you to imagine coming in through the crown of your head is the most beautiful light. Maybe it's iridescent. Maybe it's violet. Maybe it's got a pearly quality or something else entirely, but this beautiful healing light begins to enter in through the crown of your head. And it fills up that heart space, that middle of the chest. Just becomes submerged in this beautiful healing divine light. And maybe you start to feel yummy sensations like love and gratitude, and that feeling of your cup runneth over, of all of those things that allow you to feel, oh my gosh, how lucky am I? And for some people, that will be people, friends, family. For others, it might be the awe of nature, that sunrise, or those beautiful sunsets we've been getting lately. The magnificence of a storm. The exhilaration as that lightning strikes, and that clap of thunder. And that beautiful breeze on a hot summer's day. The feeling of the sea on your toes, or sand in your fingertips. Or maybe for you, the woods is where your heart lies, and it's that smell of deep earth and moss. Maybe you look at the expanse of the skies and dream about soaring and flying. Whatever it is that fills your heart up, the look of your pup, the cat snuggled up on your knee, the feeling of a good book, a cup of tea, and a comfy bed. For you, it might be something completely different, but allow that heart to fill up with all the joys and wonder this life has to offer. And yeah, it's not always that way. That joy and gratitude is not always easy to access, but for now, giving yourself permission to really indulge in it. Allow yourself to feel that expanse of the heart space. That feeling of how lucky am I? And that heart space becomes so full with that energy moving down through the crown, filling up that heart space, and moving down now through the arms into the palm of that giving hand. And this giving hand is offering a kind of spiritual fertilizer for that which is medicine to you right now. And I invite you to allow your mind to conjure exactly what it will look and feel like as that medicine grows and grows and spreads out into other areas of your life. So maybe you watch as a calmness descends. Maybe you see creativity running out through many channels. Maybe you feel kindness to yourself and others. And watch as that influences your days, your actions, the words you speak, the relationships you have. Maybe for you it's that boundary you've been putting off saying or enforcing. But playing out that best case scenario and allowing that Reiki to flood into that medicine and make it stronger for you. And if at any point you become distracted, pulled away in thought, by body, by emotion, by the external world, just noticing and gently coming back. No need to judge, but an awareness of where you are now and where you wish to direct that intention and attention. Allowing that light to move through the crown, nourish that heart space, bringing it to life. And move down through the arms and through that palm of the giving hand, infusing that part of you that already has medicine. Maybe it's that part of you that speaks kindly to yourself, that has compassion for what you've been through, that wants to nurture you, take care of you. Maybe it's that inner cheerleader that is absolutely keeping you going right now. That's reminding you you're doing an amazing job, even if everyone in your world is not seeing it. Maybe you've been doing some really hard inner work that no one else knows about. Maybe you're breaking a habit. Maybe you're forming a new one. And maybe you feel out of your comfort zone. And that part of you that reminds you you're strong, you're capable, you've got this. Maybe you're giving that part of you extra strength tonight. And whenever you feel ready, I invite you to release your hands. And just starting to notice what is present for you here now in this moment. And that includes the full spectrum of our experience. The thoughts, the feelings, the shifts in energy, temperature, tingles, sounds. But staying in this place of the observer, not allowing that judgment to creep in. It's all welcome. It's all allowed to be. That part of you that's sad or grieving. That part of you that's frustrated or angry. That part of you that feels bored, frustrated, fed up. Let's take a moment to acknowledge they all have absolute wisdom to offer. They're all trying to serve your best interests. They don't always get it right, but they have your interests at heart. That part of you that wants to rebel, that part of you that wants to lash out, that part of you that wants to blame, that wants to judge. And this includes all of those things towards yourself as well as others. So taking a moment tonight to, and again, you can notice if intuitively you want to place your hands anywhere on your body as you think about this. But taking a moment to acknowledge all of these different parts inside of you that are always trying to look out for you. Not as things to be managed or controlled or changed or coerced, but it's parts of you that are doing their absolute best. Allowing that inner critic to just loosen its grip. And remembering that part of you is also welcome too. It's just trying to keep you safe. A moment of appreciation for all those parts. Maiden, Mother, Crone. All of the different archetypes. The Joker. The leader. The artist. The mother. The partner. The friend. The daughter. The sibling. And maybe allowing yourself a nice deep breath as you acknowledge all that you've been carrying. All the weight of expectation. And allow yourself to just a moment of stillness. Nothing to do, nothing to observe. A moment to just be. And if that feels really difficult to you, if you find you get distracted, then I invite you to focus on the breath, that gentle rise and fall. And you can even place hands there. And sometimes these practices feel more difficult to all of us, so that's no reflection of experience. That's a reflection of the experience we're currently having. And as we enter this new cycle of the moon, giving yourself a moment to consider, what do you want this next cycle to hold? Is it a feeling, a mindset, a sensation, a physical experience, or something physically manifest? Allow your heart to speak with you. What do you truly crave this next moon cycle? And this time I invite you to perhaps rub your palms together, create a little bit of heat, a little bit of friction, and place your palms like a little offering bowl up to the universe. And we're going to allow that Reiki energy to flow in through the crown of the head, that beautiful divine light. Allow it to move down into that heart space, which is already filled with so much goodness. And at the top of that fill is this little intention that you have for this next cycle. And that energy that is moving down through the crown of the head, that's filling up that heart space. It's filled it up so much that intention is traveling down through one of your arms, if not both of them, and coming into the palms, creating this kind of little pool in your hands of your manifestation. And I invite you to allow that to gently evaporate into the ether. To see that in your mind's eye is rising up, dissolving into that collective unconscious. To see it merge with the magic of this existence. And if you feel called to do so, you may wish to place your hands in prayer pose or gasho, whatever makes most sense to you. And taking a moment to just acknowledge the amazing wonder of this universe. And the fact it's kept you alive all these years. It's allowed you to experience so much, meet so many people, have some wonderful experiences. And some of them other people may not even understand and may not get why they're special, but to you, they just, they get something deep within you. And just take a moment for all of those moments. And maybe say a little thank you. And here, you say thank you to whatever makes sense to you. That might be God, that might be universe, that might be energy, that might be a particular deity, a particular goddess, fae folk that you work with, or an ascended master of some kind, Jesus, Buddha. We have so many, right? So many to work with. So whatever calls to your heart in this moment, trust that. And take a moment to say thank you so much for helping me with this intention. Maybe thanking the moon and its beautiful lunar energy. That gorgeous Gemini that's supporting us with these breakthroughs, and that Uranus that's come into the same transition to support us to make those breakthroughs even more powerful. How lucky are we? And as that intention floats away in your little offering of thanks, know that The universe is doing its part now, and you just have to do yours. So I'm going to give you a few moments to get out your journal if that feels good to you, and just record anything that you observed, anything that felt important to remember, anything you want to revisit. So that might be your intention, an insight, an energetic feeling or shift, an inner knowing you had during that experience. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to go top up my water, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And I invite you to stay in silence and allow everyone to finish their journaling until I come back. Luckily, I was prepared and I'd brought some up next door. So lovelies. For those of you watching on replay, I hope this has given you, what I really hope this has given you actually is an appreciation of how much you're already holding. I think so much of the time we forget, right? Because the standards seem to get higher and higher, whatever we're dealing with, whether that's our career or our own improvement or the state of what our house should look like or our finances, or, there's so many things. And expectations can often feel overwhelming. And I hope, if nothing else, this has given you an opportunity to just notice everything you're already holding, and to remind you that actually we all have a certain capacity. And I'm sharing this because it's something that's coming up a lot for clients at the moment, and I think it's really worth mentioning tonight, and it's coming through, so I'm going to go with it. Often we're really harsh about everything we need to do differently, right? I need to eat better, I need to exercise more, I need to do this, I need to be a better partner, I need to be a better mother, I need to be a better grandmother, I need to be better at this. And we forget to notice the whole of every moving bit that you have going on inside of you. And all of those bits are trying to look after you as well as hold everything else that's going on in your life. And, we'll all go through phases of that where life feels overwhelming, and other times where life feels boring, and sometimes somewhere in between. But what I would invite you to consider under this new moon in Gemini, with, that added potency of transformation that's coming in terms of Uranus coming in at the same time, is we can only hold so much. So if you want something new, you have to let something go. And this is what nature teaches us, right? Like, we see it in our gardens. If you want to plant something new, you got to dig something up. And so as you go into this new moon, what I would really love for you to consider is not where can I take on more, but perhaps where can I replace? So maybe that's replacing the negative self-talk that's drowning you, or releasing that part of you that's so judgmental and saps you of your energy. Or maybe that's releasing that part of you that needs to be liked by everyone, and so continually sets you up to take on everyone else's stuff. And also acknowledging that part of you that does this and is doing it for the best, trying to do it for your best interests. And we're all human. None of us are perfect. This is a messy process. And none of it is going to be perfect at any point. So, lovelies, for those of you watching on replay, this is where I'm going to love and leave you. I'm going to open it up briefly for a little bit of sharing for those of you that want to stick around after I've ended the recording. As always, no pressure. But those of you watching on replay, I hope you enjoyed that. I would love to hear your experience. Feel free to reach out. Take care.